You know, when you think about a tattoo, what's the first thing that comes to mind? The art, right? The design? Well, today we're going to peel back the skin, yeah, literally, to get at the surprising biological story that's happening right underneath the ink. It's a battle, it's a defense, and it's a lifelong alliance that's way weirder than you think.
See, every single tattoo out there is telling two completely different stories at the same time. The first one is obvious. It's the one you show your friends, the one with all the personal meaning.
But then there's that second story, the one happening on a microscopic level. It's an invisible drama starring your own immune system. And honestly, it's even more fascinating than the art itself. And that's the story we're diving into today.
All right, so to really get what a tattoo is, we have to start with the canvas. And I don't just mean your arm or your leg, I mean the actual layers that make up your skin. Your skin isn't just one sheet of stuff. It's made of a few key layers. You've got the epidermis on top, that's the part that's always shedding and renewing itself, and right below that, you have the dermis. Now, when it comes to tattoos, location is everything. The dermis, this is the sweet spot. This is the target. Why? Well, because unlike the epidermis on top, the dermis is super stable. The cells there stick around for the long haul. So if you want to make art that lasts a lifetime, you have to get that ink right into this specific layer. Okay, so we know where the ink needs to go. But how do we get it there? Well, this is where it gets a little intense. Because from your body's point of view, you're not getting a cool piece of art. You're being wounded. Think about this. A tattoo needle can puncture your skin thousands of times a minute. It blasts right through that top layer, the epidermis, and injects these tiny little beads of ink deep into the dermis. And instantly, your body's alarm systems just go haywire. It senses two things. One, a wound that needs to be fixed. And two, a whole bunch of foreign stuff, the ink, that absolutely does not belong there.
And when those alarms go off, your body does what it always does. It sends in the cavalry. Your immune system kicks into gear. And this is where we meet the main character of our story.
Say hello to the macrophage. This little cell is one of your body's all-star defenders. The name literally means big eater, and that's exactly what it does. Its whole job is to race to the site of an injury and just gobble up anything that shouldn't be there. Bacteria, dead cells, you name it. They're the cleanup crew. And these guys are busy. I mean, they're involved in everything from fighting off cancer to making your hair grow. They're total multitaskers. But when you get a tattoo, they drop everything and swarm to your dermis with a single mission. Get rid of that weird foreign ink that just crashed the party.
And right here, this is where the central paradox of tattooing happens. It's amazing. The very thing your body does to try and eliminate the tattooing is what actually makes it permanent.
It's just a beautiful bit of biological irony, isn't it? The macrophages show up ready for action. They're programmed to eat the foreign ink particles, to carry them away and dispose of them. They're just doing their job.
But here's the twist. The little particles of ink are too big for the macrophages to actually break down. So these immune cells eat the ink, and then they just get stuck. They're now full of pigment they can't digest. They become these tiny living capsules of color, locked in place in your dermis. So what you're seeing on your skin, it's not just ink. It's millions of your own immune cells, filled with ink, all visible right through the top layer of your skin.
And this shows you just how precise the whole process has to be. When the tattoo artist gets it just right, the ink stays in the dermis, and you get a crisp, clean line. But if the needle goes a little too deep into that fatty layer underneath, the ink can spread out, and that's when you get what's called a tattoo blowout, that fuzzy, blurry effect you sometimes see. It's all about hitting that target zone.
So, you'd think the story's over, right? The macrophages are trapped, the tattoo is there to stay, end of story. But it turns out that permanent stalemate isn't quite as permanent as we used to think.
Yeah, over many years, some of those ink-filled macrophages actually manage to make a break for it. They can get swept up into your body's drainage system, which is called the lymphatic system.
And we figured this out in a really startling way. There was a case where surgeons were operating on a patient, and they found that her lymph nodes were stained completely black. Now you can imagine, their first thought was a scary one, that cancer had spread.
But after they tested it, they realized it wasn't cancer at all. It was tattoo ink. Over 15 years, macrophages full of ink had slowly worked their way from her tattoo, traveled through her lymphatic system, and collected in her lymph nodes, staining them black.
Which leads to this wild and kind of personal question, doesn't it? If you have a tattoo, especially a big, colorful one, the art isn't just on your skin. It's also on a very, very slow journey inside of you. What color are your lymph nodes?
So, I think the biggest thing to take away from all this is that a tattoo isn't just a painting that sits on top of you. It's a living, breathing part of you. It's this active, dynamic, lifelong collaboration between a foreign substance and your own amazing immune system. A story that's always, even if very slowly, still being written just beneath the surface.